What is up, everybody? Welcome into the podcast. Happy Saturday. Good to see you guys in here. Today, I'm going to be going through my top 24 running back rankings for the week. Now, obviously, Breece Hall and Ramondre Stevenson would normally be on this list, but they've already played. So I'm not going to be including them in my running back rankings for the week. I'm also going to be answering your fantasy football questions. I'm going to be focused on the first segment of this video on doing my rankings, my top 24 running back rankings for the week. So if you want to skip the line and make sure that I answer your question while I'm doing my rankings, I will go out of my way to answer your questions as long as you super chat. Other than that, I'm going to do my best to get around to everybody, but I'm mainly going to be focused on these rankings for the week. So I'm going to start right here with the number one player on my list for the week. My number one running back for the week is going to be Saquon Barkley. Now, this is a guy who, to me, I think could lead the league in rushing. He's going up against the New Orleans Saints. This is an okay matchup. Obviously, like, some people would be concerned that New Orleans has a tough defense or whatever. Their defense has definitely, been pretty good so far, but I'm not worried about it. Saquon Barkley's usage out of the backfield is second to none. This dude is getting a crazy amount of volume. The efficiency has been through the roof as far as his yards per carry efficiency. So I like Saquon this year. I like him rest of the season, and I like him as my easy number one for week 3 of the fantasy football season. And my number 2 is going to be a player playing on the opposite side of the ball from Saquon in this game, and that is Alvin Kamara up against wait a minute, I got my matchups wrong here. Sorry about that. No, I got it right. Playing up against Philly. What's up, Andre? How you doing, bro? All right, so Alvin Kamara up against Philly. Obviously, Alvin Kamara has exceeded expectations so far drastically. This dude is by far and away the number one running back in fantasy right now. Going up against Philadelphia, it is a little bit of a tough defensive matchup, but if you look at this dude's usage, he's had 35 carries through 2 games, so he's averaging darn near 20 carries a game. He hasn't even gotten like really used in the passing game yet, like we know he's going to be used. This dude is a guy who, when his team is actually playing from behind, can see 10 plus targets out of the backfield on a weekly basis. It's just that the Saints have been blowing the doors off teams, so they haven't been using Alvin Kamara as much as in the passing game as they normally would, considering the fact that this is a guy who we haven't even seen his pass catching ceiling yet, and he's been as good as he has, and he's the number one running back in fantasy. Just wait till the Saints are in games where they're actually playing from behind and they have to dump off to Alvin Kamara out of the backfield. This dude's absolutely going to eat this year. I said one of my bold takes going into the year is that Alvin Kamara is going to be a top 5 running back on the season. He is the number one running back in fantasy right now. Look for him to continue elite production this week. Next player on my list is going to be De'Von Achane, and De'Von Achane going up against Seattle. I'm not worried about the matchup whatsoever. Look, De'Von Achane's usage this year has been absolutely insane. He had 7 targets in week 1. He had 7 targets in week 2. They're going to use him even more as a wide receiver now that they don't have Tua to play the quarterback positions, because they're going to be dumping off and using him to run routes, because what do you do when you have a backup quarterback or a quarterback that doesn't really play at the NFL level and really isn't a true NFL quarterback? You dump off to your elite pass-catching running back. That's typically how offenses work whenever you play with the backup quarterback. So look for De'Von Achane's receiving usage to go up even more. The dude's been crazy as far as his yards per carry efficiency for a second season in a row, just like he was last year. I'm not worried about the matchup whatsoever. This dude should smash yet again in week 3. Moving on to number 4 in my rankings, it's going to be Bijan Robinson up against Kansas City. Now, the thing about Bijan Robinson is, if you look at him just from an efficiency standpoint and just from a talent standpoint, if they just cut this dude loose and allowed him to have 25, 26 carries a game, he would easily be number 1 in my rankings every single week. But the problem is they won't cut him loose. They won't use Bijan Robinson like they said they were going to do. They're doing the same damn thing they did last year, splitting the backfield. Obviously, he's getting a little bit more of an opportunity share, and he's at least getting 20-plus touches on a weekly basis. But this is a dude who we want 30-plus touches on a weekly basis. This dude is absolute gold for fantasy is every single time he touches the ball. But the problem is Tyler Algier is still being used pretty heavily in the offense, so he's not going to be number 1. I'm not worried about Kansas City. I know they have a good defense, but he's still good enough to be a top 5 running back for me on the week. Number 5 on my list is going to be Jordan Mason. Now, Jordan Mason is basically become the replacement for Christian McCaffrey. I mean, Christian McCaffrey, I'm not even sure that Christian McCaffrey is going to be on the field this year. I mean, this dude, he was injured from the get-go. He's dealing with Achilles tendonitis. We have no idea how long he's going to be out. But Jordan freaking Mason has stepped in and filled in for him very, very well, playing up against the LA Rams. The matchup is totally fine here. I'm not worried about the Rams being able to stop Jordan Mason whatsoever. I think this dude, from a standard league format, is absolute money. For PPR formats, we want to see his expanded role in the passing game, and I think we're going to see that because it's been said that he's been working a lot on catching footballs over the offseason. He's wanted to step into kind of that Christian McCaffrey role and start catching more passes out of the backfield, and now with George Kittle hurt, Deebo Samuel hurt, I mean, they're going to have to throw more passes to Jordan Mason. He's going to be used more heavily as a wide receiver than he has in weeks 1 and 2, and he's already dominating without the pass-catching usage. Now you add the inevitable pass-catching usage because of certain pass catchers in the offense like Deebo Samuel and George Kittle being out. They're going to have to use Brock Purdy to dump off passes to Jordan Mason out of the backfield. Look for this dude to explode in week 3. My number 6, and this is going to be higher than most people have him, and I don't understand why, and it is Josh Jacobs. Now, Josh Jacobs comes out in week 2 and has 32 freaking carries. This is a dude who, I mean, I don't know. You look at him, and he's one of the most talented running backs in the game. He's running behind a solid offensive line. He's now in an offensive situation where they have to use him. They have to use Josh Jacobs because, well, I mean, they don't have their gunslinger and Jordan Love. So they're using Josh Jacobs. They're going to use him even more in the passing game now going forward because they're going to have to dump off passes out of the backfield because they don't have Jordan Love. Look for Josh Jacobs to explode on a weekly basis going up against Tennessee. I'm not worried about this matchup whatsoever. Josh Jacobs should smash this week. Number 7 on my list is going to be Jahmyr Gibbs. Now, Jahmyr Gibbs going up against Arizona. Look, on a weekly basis, what we want from Jahmyr Gibbs is we want elite goal line usage, and we want his overall volume and opportunity share in the offense to go up. This is very much what happened last year after the first 2 weeks. After the first 2 weeks, everybody was raving that, hey, David Montgomery's the lead back in the offense. Jahmyr Gibbs isn't going to get enough of a workload. But if you look at this dude, he's basically the more explosive version of Aaron Jones going up against a defense that really isn't good at all. They're typically involved in high-scoring shootout games. We've seen that over the first 2 games of the season. There's a chance that they have a better offense than people expect. I'm talking about the Cardinals, meaning the Lions actually have a chance of playing from behind in this game, meaning an expanded pass-catching role for Jahmyr Gibbs. I like him this week to smash against Arizona. Number 8 on my list. These dudes love Algier. Yeah, they really do. I don't get it. But, yeah, they do love Tyler Algier. Jonathan Taylor at number 8. Number 8, Jonathan Taylor on the week. I think that Jonathan Taylor is going to come out and have a decent week. I mean, obviously they're playing up against the Chicago Bears. There's a chance that they're playing from ahead in this game because the Bears are absolutely terrible. Now, granted, we don't know how the Anthony Richardson situation is going to shake out. How is the overall efficiency of this offense going to be with Christ Saves is super excited about Jonathan Taylor this week, but he has to play my Bears. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Look, I don't think the Bears are going to have an answer for Jonathan Taylor. I think they're going to be playing from ahead in this game. I think that Jonathan Taylor will have his highest carry count this season playing up against the Chicago Bears as opposed to what he had in week 1 and 2. The volume in weeks 1 and 2 was okay, but look for him to come out and be one of the leading rushers this week as far as a volume and market share perspective. This dude is going to have a good opportunity share in his offense this week. Look for him to be on the field almost every freaking play and run all over this team. Next on my list is going to be James Cook. Now, James Cook up against Jacksonville. Look, James Cook is an okay play this week. I think that he's being a little bit overhyped now because of coming off of the big week last week. I still think that this is going to be an offense led by Josh Allen. I still think that Josh Allen is going to be siphoning a lot of goal line opportunities away from James Cook. I think that James Cook overall touchdown ceiling is not nearly what we want it to be, despite getting in the end zone 3 times last week. I think that Josh Allen is going to steal a ton of touchdowns from him this year. With that being said, I think the Bills are playing from ahead in this game. Jacksonville has looked absolutely horrendous on both sides of the ball. Look for James Cook to potentially run all over these boys, and I like him in week 3 of the fantasy football season. Next on my list is going to be Zach Charbonnet at my number 10 for the week. Now, going up against the Miami Dolphins, if you look at this game, Seattle will probably have a commanding lead most of the game. I think that the game script's going to favor running backs in this game. I think that Zach Charbonnet, while not being a direct one-for-one replacement with Kenneth Walker, because he's not quite as explosive, he does have the better pass-catching profile technically. He's technically the better pass-catching back, although I think that Kenneth Walker is an undersold pass-catching back. I think that Kenneth Walker is a decent pass-catching back, but Zach Charbonnet is technically the better pass-catching back. Going up against a team where, they're probably going to be playing with the lead most of this game. Miami should look horrendous without Tua. I don't think their offense is going to be the same, so the game script should favor Zach Charbonnet. Moving on to my number 11, and that's going to be James Conner. James Conner, my number 11 on the week, going up against Detroit. This is a guy in James Conner who, well, he's going to come out, and I think he's going to run all over these boys. I mean, Detroit obviously has one of the better run defenses in the league, but this game's just going to be so freaking high scoring that give me James Conner in this matchup because of the touchdown upside, because of the fact that this is probably going to be one of the higher scoring games on the slate. So James Conner has the potential to get in the end zone 2 or 3 freaking times in this game. The touchdown ceiling for James Conner in this game is absolutely massive. So even though he's going up against a tough run defense in the Lions, this should be a very high-scoring game. Eber in the house, how you doing, my friend? And so I like James Conner this week, even though he's going up against the tough run defense. We're going to go Kyren Williams at my number 12, going up against San Francisco. Now, obviously, this is a tough run defense, okay? And of all the matchups on this list, I am probably more concerned with Kyren Williams than I am any of them as far as the defense that he's playing up against. But if you look at the situation, Kyren Williams is going to be eating up so many more targets out of the backfield without a healthy Puka Nacua and without a healthy Cooper Kupp. This is exactly what happened last year. When Cooper Kupp was injured, Kyren Williams started to absolutely go off because Cooper Kupp is their main target hog. And with him out, who else are they going to target, right? They're going to be dumping off targets to Kyren Williams out of the backfield. He's going to see an expanded role as a pass catcher. I love Kyren Williams still from a season-long standpoint. And despite having a tough matchup this week, the offense is going to be running through Kyren Williams just like it did last year because Cooper Kupp's not in the lineup. Number 13 on my list is going to be Derrick Henry. Now, Derrick Henry is a guy who obviously is falling off a little bit, but, playing up against the Dallas defense looked absolutely terrible this week. I think there's a possibility that the Dallas defense isn't as good as everybody thinks. And the Ravens, I don't know, they probably are going to have a lead in this game. I imagine the Ravens are going to win this game. Of course, Dallas is one of the most unpredictable teams on a weekly basis. They're a little bit Jekyll and Hyde, but I think the Ravens will have a lead in this game. I think Derrick Henry, I'm not really worried about the matchup. I think he's going to be able to run efficiently against Dallas. Obviously, this dude has one of the highest touchdown ceilings at the running back position in the entire NFL on a weekly basis. Look for him to get in the end zone against the Cowboys. I think he's going to have himself a good week. Moving on to number 14 on my list, and this is higher than a lot of people are going to have him, and that's Aaron Jones. Now, Aaron Jones up against Houston. This is a guy who, on a large sample size is one of the most efficient running backs in the league going up against Houston. Houston doesn't have the best defense in the world. I'm really not worried about the Houston run defense being able to have an answer for Aaron Jones in this game. I think that Aaron Jones is going to run all over these boys. I think this is a great bounce back week for Aaron Jones. And if you watch my buy low trade targets videos, I'm pretty sure that I included him in there because I don't know, the dude had a tough week against San Francisco, but I like him going forward for the rest of the season. I especially like him this week to have a big game against the Texans. Moving on to my next player on my list, and that's Travis Etienne. Travis Etienne up against the Buffalo Bills. I don't know, man. Not the best spot for Travis Etienne. Normally, this is a guy who's going to be ranked higher, especially if we can see just the entire workload go to Travis Etienne, which I think is going to be the case for the rest of the season. Look for this dude to have an okay game against Buffalo, but the matchup is tough. The Buffalo defense is tough. I was saying going into the year that the Buffalo defense isn't quite going to be what it used to be. It might not be quite as good as it has in years past, but it's still a really damn good defense. Still a really tough matchup for Travis Etienne, so he's good enough to be in my top 15, but just barely. Number 16 on my list is going to be Tony Pollard. Now, Tony Pollard has been a very pleasant surprise. Everybody knows that I was huge on Tony Pollard going into last season, right? And if you watch my podcast all off season long, I was saying draft Tony Pollard, draft Tony Pollard, draft Tony Pollard. I was telling you to just grab as many shares of him as possible. And it looks like I was just a year early to the party. Tony Pollard has now had an extra year to heal from his broken leg that he suffered in the playoff game against San Francisco when he was playing for the Cowboys. And now his explosiveness is back. This dude looks electric. It looks like he's going to be handling all the touches out of the backfield. I don't know why the hell people were saying to draft Tyjae Spears so much in the offseason. I was never on the Tyjae Spears hype train, and this is why. Tony Pollard is by far and away the better back in this offense. It's not even close. This dude is a monster. Going up against Green Bay, there's some serious potential for this game for Tony Pollard, and I think he is going to smash this week. Trade question from SRLJ. 12-man half PPR, Lamar and Chase Brown, or Love and JMO. We are going to go with Love and JMO, although I don't like the fact that Jordan Love is still going to be out another 3 weeks. I would much rather have the Love and JMO side of that trade. Number 17 on my list is going to be Brian Robinson Jr., Brian Robinson Jr. going up against Cincinnati. Look, this dude's been incredibly efficient so far. It looks like Brian Robinson Jr. is going to be heading his backfield. This is a dude who is going to come out and be the main running back in this offense. Don't worry about Austin Ekeler. Look, I was saying going into this season, Austin Ekeler's washed. He's 28 years old. He's not the running back he used to be. And while he does still provide you some pass-catching upside, Brian Robinson Jr. is being used just as much in the pass-catching game. This dude is being used just as much of a target hog out of the backfield as Austin Ekeler. He's by far and away the running back one in the offense. From a carries perspective, the efficiency has been through the roof. This offense is going to exceed expectations this year. The threat of Jaden Daniels running the ball opens up bigger lanes for Brian Robinson Jr. to run through. I like him this week against Cincinnati. Number 18 on my list is going to be Rachaad White. Trade me, yeah. Ever offered me a trade in our subscriber league for Brian Robinson Jr. I just he wanted to give me Jalen Waddle. I like Jalen Waddle as a talent, but I'm just not sold on the Miami quarterback situation right now. I'm just not. I'm not too hyped about Tua going down. Rachaad White against Denver. Look, this is a smash matchup. Okay, now most weeks, and I feel like I keep saying this every week because Rachaad White just keeps drawing these awesome matchups. But Rachaad White has been a sell high candidate for me for going into the season, weeks 1, week 2, because he keeps drawing these awesome matchups. But when this guy goes against solid defenses, his yards per carry efficiency is absolutely terrible. This is one of the least efficient running backs in the entire league. Doesn't really have the talent to be an elite yards per carry efficiency back. Going up against Denver, though, this is a terrible defense. The Denver Broncos, they're not good. I don't care what anybody says about Patrick Surtain, blah, blah, blah. This defense as a whole, it absolutely sucks. Rachaad White is going to eat in this game. The Bucs should be playing with a lead most of the time, and I understand that Rachaad White's probably about to lose his job to Bucky Irving, but at the same time, like Ever said, it's Bucky Irving season. All right, guys, if y'all are in here and you haven't yet hit the like button, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. That's essential for me growing my channel. J.K. Dobbins is going to be my number 19. Now, if you look at J.K. Dobbins, he's still technically splitting a backfield, and that's really the only concern with J.K. Dobbins right now. I mean, obviously, if you look at it from an efficiency standpoint, this dude's the most explosive running back in the NFL, hands down. I mean, he's shown it in the small sample that he's actually been on the field in his career, the most efficient running back in the NFL from a yards per carry efficiency standpoint, from an explosiveness standpoint, is J.K. freaking Dobbins. This dude averages 7 yards a carry on a consistent basis when he's healthy. He's averaging damn near 10 yards a carry in the early season. Obviously, that isn't sustainable. But if he averaged 6 to 6.5 yards a carry from a season-long standpoint, I wouldn't be surprised because yards per carry efficiency is up for running backs in general, and this dude's incredibly explosive. So while he's splitting a backfield, and while the volume might be of slight concern because Gus Edwards is still getting a lot of carries, if J.K. Dobbins continues to be this efficient, he's just going to take over the backfield. They're obviously being a little bit careful with him and not wanting to overwork him early in the season because he's just been so freaking injury prone. That's very much why they're splitting a backfield. But J.K. freaking Dobbins is going to explode this year. I don't give a shit if it's a tough matchup against Pittsburgh. We're starting J.K. Dobbins every week. Number 20 on my list is going to be Zach Moss. Now, Zach Moss up against Washington. Not worried about the matchup. That's for damn sure. I mean, the Washington run defense is probably the worst run defense in the NFL. We saw all last season. We've seen it in the early season this year. The Commanders' defense is an absolute joke. That's really the entire reason that they're not a good football team is because of their defense. Offensively, I think they're going to be fine this year. There's a potential for them to play in some shootout games. This could be the highest scoring game on the slate. This could be the highest scoring game on the slate. I wouldn't be surprised at all if it wouldn't be. So I want pieces on both sides of the ball in the Cincinnati and Washington game. So we are going to be starting Zach Moss with confidence. Moving on to my number 21 on my list, and that's going to be Jerome Ford. Now, a lot of people don't have Jerome Ford in their top 24 for the week. I do. I mean, look at the matchup, right? I mean, he's going up against the defense that just really isn't very good. There's a very good chance that the Browns are playing from ahead in this game. I think that's going to be the case. Look for the overall volume to be up for Jerome Ford this week. I'm mainly making this bet based on the matchup. I really don't like the fact that D'Onta Foreman is coming in and taking a significant amount of carries away from Jerome Ford. So I'm not that big on Jerome Ford from a season-long perspective, especially considering the fact that Nick Chubb's coming back soon. But this week, in an absolute smash matchup, his team's going to be playing from ahead most likely. The New York Giants run defense is absolutely terrible. I like Jerome Ford in my top 24 this week, although he's not going to be in my top 24 most weeks. You guys, don't be afraid to ask me your fantasy football questions. I'm going to be doing my best to get around to everybody, but I'm just kind of focused on these rankings right now. Make sure to super chat if you want to skip the line. I'll go out of my way to answer if you super chat regardless. David Montgomery, Arizona. Look, having two running backs in the same offense in the top 24 on a weekly basis typically isn't a good play. But if you look at the overall efficiency of the Lions offense, despite the fact that they've disappointed slightly so far, it's still probably going to be a top 5 overall offense in the NFL. Going up against Arizona very well could be the highest scoring game on the slate. I want as many Lions in this game as possible. So we are going to be starting David Montgomery with confidence. Next on my list is going to be Zamir White. Now, Zamir White, I think, is going to be not that productive from a season-long standpoint. However, I am fine playing Zamir White this week up against Carolina. The Carolina Panthers are the worst team in the NFL, hands down. You got to figure that as bad as the Oakland or whatever, Las Vegas Raiders are, they're probably going to be playing from ahead in this game. The game script should favor Zamir White, despite the fact that the yards per carry efficiency really hasn't been that great so far. Look for the yards per carry efficiency to be up in this game. Look for the touchdown upside to be there. Look for the game script to be in his favor. I like Zamir White cracking my top 24 this week. Next and final player on my list for the week, rounding out my top 24, is going to be DeAndre Swift. DeAndre Swift up against Indianapolis. I don't like DeAndre Swift from a season-long perspective. I drafted absolutely 0 shares of him on Underdog. I really think that this dude is not that good for fantasy, especially in this absolutely abysmal offense. No offense, Bears fans, but I mean, gosh, y'all's offense is absolutely terrible. And I don't know. He's good enough to crack my top 24, but yeah, he's going to round out my top 24 for the week. I'm not too excited on him. He's probably a better flex play this week. All right. Hey, brother, the top guy in my league has CJ Stroud. Need to find an edge to beat him. Should I trade for Mixon? I would use a combo of Jordan Mason to acquire him. I totally understand what you're saying about wanting to give up Jordan Mason for Joe Mixon, considering the fact that eventually Jordan Mason is supposedly going to get his job taken back by Christian McCaffrey. But I wouldn't do this, and here's why. I don't think Christian McCaffrey's coming back this year. I just don't. The dude is dealing with a chronic tendonitis in his Achilles. The Achilles is absolutely the worst injury you can possibly have in fantasy, even if it's not a tear. Any sort of injury to the Achilles, this dude is dealing with tendonitis. That's something that tends to linger. He's 28 years old. He's been absolutely used up more than any running back in the league besides Derrick Henry and Ezekiel Elliott. This dude has so much wear and tear on the tires that I don't think he's coming back. I think that Jordan Mason is basically the one-for-one replacement for Christian McCaffrey. Obviously, he might not have the pass-catching upside, but with all these Niners hurt, they're going to have to start passing to Jordan Mason more. So as good as he's been without the passing usage out of the backfield, imagine this dude's upside now that they are going to be forced to pass to him more. I don't think Jordan Mason's tradable. I don't think we're selling him high. I think we're holding on to him. and we're just going to ride Jordan Mason off into the sunset. He's missing the Eagles O-line. Yeah, Andre, you're onto something, man. What PPR running backs do you like targeting the most? Do you mean like, so Christ save, I'm imagining you're talking about like maybe in the trade market, like which running backs you're looking to target. Alvin Kamara. No, I'm just playing. You can't buy Alvin Kamara for anything. Nobody's going to be selling him. Yeah, some good buy low running backs. I'm fine with Ramondre Stevenson, believe it or not. Obviously, he looked really bad this last game, but that matchup was really tough. I mean, if you look at his usage over the first 2 weeks, the dude got 20-plus carries in the first 2 weeks of the season, but then they absolutely just got stomped by the Jets. They were behind this whole game, so he had the combination of getting scripted out of the game from a rushing standpoint and going up against a really tough defense. I'm fine buying low on Ramondre Stevenson right now. I actually like him going forward. Bro, Breeze is splitting with Allen. No, I don't think that Breeze is – look, Breece Hall is still going to be a top 3 running back in fantasy. The overall efficiency of this Jets offense is going to be so damn good. Now, I did recommend this. Going into the season, I said if you're going to be drafting Breece Hall, you should be pairing him with Braylon Allen because there is a chance of Braylon Allen getting a significant workload in this backfield. Adrian says, agree with you. Honestly, I've heard the take before, and it feels they need to be safe with him. Imagine he tears the Achilles and he's out next. Yeah, I mean, I don't think that Christian McCaffrey is going to play this year. I don't think he steps on the field. In fact, I'm in 13 leagues, bro, and I had the first pick. How many times did I have the first pick? 3 times? 3 times I had the first pick out of my 13 leagues. 2 out of those 3 times, I took Breece Hall over Christian McCaffrey because I was afraid of this happening. The dude is 28 years old. 28-year-old running backs always tend to fall off a cliff. We've seen it years and years of fantasy football experience. I have, guys. 28-year-old running backs fall off. They don't last. Would it be possible they save him for the playoffs? I mean, it's certainly possible. And it's certainly possible that when he comes back there, here's the other thing about Christian McCaffrey, right, and Jordan Mason. When Christian McCaffrey comes back, this is going to be a split backfield because I'm not saying that Jordan Mason is as good as Christian McCaffrey, but if they want to keep Christian McCaffrey healthy, why the hell wouldn't they keep using a running back that can take some of the workload off him when he's been as efficient as he is? They can use him in a split backfield opportunity share with Christian McCaffrey. And so Christian McCaffrey is not even going to be the player that he was when he comes back. Christian McCaffrey, the version of him that we knew last year and the version of him that we knew in his prime is done. That Christian McCaffrey's over. I'm telling you right now, we are never going to see that version of Christian McCaffrey again. Would it be possible they save him for the playoffs? Yeah. Does Wilson worry you? Garrett Wilson's starting to concern me a little bit. I mean, you look at this game and, you know, he's had 3 games in a row where he really hasn't necessarily been the guy. I mean, it looks like Allen Lazard is just as big of a part of this offense as Garrett Wilson. I don't think that's going to last, though. In fact, I think that Garrett Wilson is a good buy low right now. I think that you could come out and buy low on Garrett Wilson with confidence. I think the overall efficiency of this Jets offense is going to be very good this season. So we are going to be buying low on Garrett Wilson, although I'm going to say slightly concerned, but I don't know. Overall, I still think he has a good season. Drop one of the Chiefs running backs, P. Ryan or Hunt for Odunze or Naylor to start this week. I don't trust Ford in Green Bay without Love. I don't trust Ford in Green Bay without Love. Drop one of the Chiefs running backs, P. Ryan or Hunt. I'm going to be dropping Samaje Perine because, look, Kareem Hunt just has a higher overall ceiling. If he comes back and is half of the player he used to be, he has a tremendous ceiling in this Chiefs offense. Now, do I think he's going to hit that ceiling? No, I don't. I think there's a 90% chance that Kareem Hunt is just a washed-up version of his old self, but the ceiling is there, and there's at least a chance that he comes out and is a stud running back for this team with the injuries in front of him. So I'm going to be taking the gamble and keeping Kareem Hunt over Samaje Perine. They just don't have that chemistry right now, and Rodgers aren't clicking. It's so early, though, man. Like, it's only week 3. If you look at the arm talent from Aaron Rodgers, too, it's still there. Like, if you were watching this last game, who do you think has the most arm talent in the NFL still at the quarterback position besides Pat Mahomes? It's Aaron Rodgers. He still has the next best arm talent in the league after Pat Mahomes at the age of 40. So the arm talent for Aaron Rodgers is still there. Just because Garrett Wilson hasn't been as heavily involved as we want to so far doesn't mean that he won't get involved. As the games get more pivotal and they're in closer games and high leverage situations, they are going to be targeting Garrett Wilson. And he is going to see weeks where he has double-digit targets. And I don't know. I think that Garrett Wilson is still going to exceed expectations this season. How would you manage having players on the Rams offense? I had high hopes drafting Kyren and stealing Cup. Should I look to trade both or hold on? For the love of God, do not trade Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp's a league winner. The minute that he comes back, this is a dude who is the most valuable asset in fantasy for PPR formats, in my opinion. There is nobody in fantasy more valuable than Cooper Kupp when he's actually healthy and on the field. The dude, for the love of God, had 21 targets in week 1. He's going to be used like that every single week that he's on the field. So whatever you do, don't trade Cooper Kupp. Big game from Olave this week. And do you think Shaheed is here to stay? I think the Shaheed's production so far is a little bit fluky, mainly just because of the target share, right? The dude comes out and has like 5 targets a week. That is not a sustainable target share to produce. If he comes out and has 5 targets a week, even with deep targets, they're not going to connect on all these deep balls. So considering the fact that he's only averaging like 5 targets a game, and he typically only averages 5 targets per game, that's what we've seen from him out of his short career, I don't think that it's sustainable for him to absolutely go off every week. I think Shaheed is actually a pretty good sell high right now. And while I like the player and I like the talent and I love him from a best ball perspective, I don't necessarily think he's here to stay. No. Drop Perine for Odunze or Naylor. I mean, you could drop him for Odunze. I don't know, but probably not. I mean, like, look, this is a running back in the Chiefs backfield who does have pass catching upside and will be eating up some targets out of the backfield. So I think go ahead and hold on to Samaje Perine and see how this opportunity share ends up working out in Kansas City at the running back position in a 14-team PPR league. Would you start Waddle, Deontay Johnson, or Devin Singletary in the flex? Pulse 0, if you have a choice, please don't start any of those guys. I don't like any of them. Waddle, I hate without the quarterback. Deontay Johnson is absolute garbage, but we do have a new quarterback situation in Carolina, and Devin Singletary in the flex. I think we're going to be starting Devin Singletary this week in the flex, my man. Allen is out. Allen is out. Holy shit. PPR, I'm trying to package Najee and DK. What wide receiver would you look for? Not much of a choice. We got 3 bench spots. Yeah. I mean, like in those leagues where you have 3 bench spots, you're obviously not going to be nearly as deep. So it's kind of cool because like it allows you to use some more creativity and use some more, like it just takes more skill, right? When you don't have as deep of a bench and teams aren't like insanely stacked, it takes more skill to build out a good roster. Yeah, I don't know, man. Like it's kind of cool that you're playing in a league like that because, well, I mean, it just takes more skill. Frizzle, what up in the house? Good to see you, my man. Ask away with all your fantasy football questions. Make sure to like the video if you haven't already. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. It's good to see some of my regulars in here. Ask as many fantasy football questions as you want. Please consider super chatting if you want to help the channel. I'm doing my best to answer all fantasy football questions, but keep in mind that there's some fantasy analysts that only answer super chats. I'm here to help you guys out regardless, but super chats are very much appreciated if you want to help me grow my channel. But I'm doing my best to answer all fantasy football questions today. We're trying to get our best lineup on the field for week 3. Let's freaking go, and let's make sure that we get the W this week. I'm here to help you guys out, so ask away, and let's get this going. Should I drop Ferguson for Steele? Absolutely no way in hell should you drop Ferguson for Steele. Kelsey's my starter. I don't care. You're holding on to Jake Ferguson. Thoughts on T. Higgins this week? Well, thoughts on T. Higgins this week. I hope the dude is able to stay on the field for an entire game. Those are my thoughts on T. Higgins. I think that the Bengals offense is going to bounce back from an overall efficiency standpoint. They always tend to start slow, and I think that T. Higgins sees a potentially big week. It should be a pretty high-scoring game. So I think we see a bounce back from the Bengals offense, and typically if the Bengals offense does well, T. Higgins does well. I need to drop one of the Chiefs running backs to start Ford over Odunze. Higgins better do – yeah, if Higgins doesn't do good against Washington, like that's a little bit of a red flag because Washington is hands down the worst defense in the NFL. Picked up Xavier Legette off waivers just in case he pops off tomorrow. I mean, look, this offense needs a spark, right? I mean, the Carolina offense needs a spark. So they made a change at the quarterback position. They need something to happen. So, like, why not target your wide receiver with the best athletic intangibles, the best combination of size and speed, a big dude that runs fast? That's what you need when you need a spark. You need to start targeting your most athletic wide receivers. Fuck Deontay Johnson. This dude is like I don't know. I don't know why Deontay Johnson's such a target hog. I mean, he obviously runs good routes, but let's just target our most athletic receiver if we're wanting to see a bounce back from the offense. So you never know. Maybe Xavier Legette ends up having some chemistry with Andy Dalton. But I don't know. We're going to have to see. It's a big-time long shot. If you guys are in here and you haven't liked the video yet, make sure to like the video. Subscribe to the channel. We're doing it live here. I'm answering all fantasy football questions. If you haven't seen my rankings for the week, you can scroll to the top of the chat. My top 24 running back rankings for the week are at the very top of the chat. If you're watching the video in real time and you want to watch the live stream from the beginning, you can see my top 24 running back rankings for the week if you go back and watch the live stream from the beginning of the live stream. Charbonnet or Monty this week? Definitely Zach Charbonnet, my man. I like Zach Charbonnet up against Miami. I think that the Seattle Seahawks will be winning this game. I think it's a good matchup for Charbonnet. I'm not concerned whatsoever about the Miami defense. I don't care what anybody says. Charbonnet will probably run all over these boys. And as long as Kenneth Walker is not in the lineup, Zach Charbonnet is a must start every single week, regardless of the matchup. So I guess my question is, start one, Ford or Odunze with Allen out for Naylor. Start one, Ford or Odunze with Allen out for Neighbor. I am going to be starting Odunze. Ball knower. PPR, DeAndre Swift versus Colts or Cam Akers versus Vikings. We're definitely going to be going with DeAndre Swift versus the Colts, my friend. My boys were calling me crazy for starting Charbonnet. I have him cuffed with K9. This is a good idea. Kenneth Walker's a very injury-prone running back. The dude is used as a workhorse, and he's a smaller guy. He tends to get hurt. I love Kenneth Walker from a talent perspective, but having Charbonnet cuffed to him is a very good strategy, and now you see why. Charbonnet, as long as Kenneth Walker is out, is a money play. They spent draft capital on this dude. The dude is going to be used heavily. With Mixon out, I have to decide to start either Eckler or Bigsby. I'm leaning more towards Eckler. Frizzle, this must be a deep league, which I respect you for playing in because deep leagues take more skill. In a deeper league, if you have to make this decision, I am probably going to go with Austin Eckler. Bowers or Laporta? Oh, my God. I hate this question. I hate this question. This is the hardest question I've been asked today so far in the chat. And the reason is, I mean, you look at Brock Bowers and the usage so far, it's been absolutely amazing. But I still can't, in good consciousness, tell you to start him over Sam Laporta. Sam Laporta was the tight end 1 last year. He's been off to a little bit of a slow start, but he's in an offense that's projected to be a top 5 overall offense in the NFL. So considering the upside from the offense that he's in and the fact that the Vegas Raiders don't really give Bowers a whole lot of touchdown upside, I am going to be starting Sam Laporta over Brock Bowers, although I hate doing it. Yeah, I'm in a 14-man home league, and running backs are Bijan, Mixon, Braylon Allen, Eckler. Okay, so it's a deep league. I get it. Should I trade CMC and Monty for Dobbins and JMO? CMC and Monty for Dobbins and JMO. I would hold off on that. I still think that Christian McCaffrey, if he comes back, still has a very high ceiling. So while I don't think that Christian McCaffrey is going to be back on the field, I've already said that in the live stream. I don't think Christian McCaffrey is going to play, but you're giving up a massive ceiling in Christian McCaffrey if he does come back. So I'm not going to be doing that for a running back, and J.K. Dobbins is still in a split backfield. And I'm going to see more. I'm sold on Jameson Williams, don't get me wrong, but in order to trade a player like Christian McCaffrey and David Montgomery for Jameson Williams, I am going to need to see some extreme production from Jameson Williams on a weekly basis. Or CMC and Monty for Henry. No, I would not trade CMC and Monty for Henry. I'm not sold on Derrick Henry from a season-long perspective. Okay, so in order to get a Dunze, drop Ford, P. Ryan, or Hunt. In order to get a Dunze, drop Ford, P. Ryan, or Hunt. Probably Jerome Ford, man. I mean, I know that's kind of crazy, but look, Nick Chubb will be back sooner than later. Obviously, it's not even Ford's backfield right now. A lot of people thought that Jerome Ford was just going to be by far and away the starter this year. He got his carry count doubled by Deontay Foreman last week. Monty for JMO straight up. Dude, probably so. Which is just so crazy going into the season because Jameson Williams went undrafted in a lot of leagues. But if you look at the target share, this dude's seen 20 targets through 2 games. He's a pivotal piece of the offense, and he's just so incredibly explosive. If you watch this dude play, he's one of the most talented wide receivers in the whole freaking NFL. There's a reason that the Lions were raving about him all offseason long. They were not just blowing smoke. This dude is going to rival Amon-Ra St. Brown for targets in this offense. I'm not saying that he's going to get more targets than Amon-Ra St. Brown, because Amon-Ra is going to be lining up at the slot more, and he's going to be eating up tons of targets in the offense. But Jameson Williams is going to get targeted heavily. And explosive as he is, and this good of a freaking offense, I would take Jameson Williams over Monty. Obviously, Monty's in the same offense, but he's not a player that I think has as much upside as Jameson Williams does. Gibbs, my favorite buy low right now. Gibbs is an awesome buy low right now. Look for Jahmyr Gibbs to absolutely do what he did last year. Jahmyr Gibbs came out last year and was off to a slow start, and then he had, what was it, like a handful of like top 5 overall running back finishes. This dude is an absolute monster. Keep blowing up the chat, everybody. Ask away fantasy football questions. Make sure to ask as many questions as you want. If you want to help the channel, super chat. I'll get around to all questions, or I'll do my best to get around to all questions. But the way to skip the line is the super chat. Andre, I don't even understand why Gibbs owners are panicking, bro. It makes absolutely no sense. Christ save. You think JSN can finish ahead of DK and PPR? Yes, I do. I think that JSN has the upside to have a better season than DK Metcalf. Obviously, DK Metcalf is still the alpha in the offense for the moment, but look for JSN to potentially rival him. I mean, the dude came out and had 16 freaking targets last week. We know that wide receivers with a great prospect profile typically come out and have awesome year 2s. This is the year 2 breakout for JSN. My biggest regret is not buying low on Marvin Harrison Jr. Yeah, Andre, Andre, you follow my channel pretty consistently. You know I was hammering the buy low on Marvin Harrison Jr. button after week 1. Now it's too late. I wish a lot more people would have done it, but it's okay. Need a flex between Dobbins, JSN, or Bowers. We are not playing a tight end at flex, despite the fact that he's been really good. Dobbins or JSN, full PPR, 1 point for first downs. Man, I can't tell you to bench J.K. Dobbins right now over either of these guys. We're going to be playing J.K. Dobbins at our flex in this situation. I appreciate the question, Jonathan. But we're definitely going to be going with J.K. Dobbins over the other two. I am no way in hell starting a tight end in my flex. And as much as I like JSN rest of the season, I still like Dobbins more. Just got offered Jamo, Henry, and Dobbins for CMC and James. Just got offered Jamo, Henry, and Dobbins for CMC and James Conner. Wow. That's goodness. So they're giving you Jameson Williams, Henry, and Dobbins for CMC and James Conner. That's actually closer than a lot of people think. I don't know. Let me think about that one for a second. JSN or Neighbors? Neighbors, bro, for sure. Who are you starting at tight end, McBride or Bowers? McBride. I still think that McBride's going to be the number 1 tight end on the season. It's looking like this Arizona Cardinals offense is a huge bounce back candidate. They could be one of the better offenses in the league this year. I mean, if you look at them through the first 2 weeks, they're involved in tons of shootout games. This is a team that plays in high-scoring games on a regular basis. We are going to be starting everybody in the Arizona offense, especially Trey McBride. I take that deal and flip Henry immediately. Kelce has me worried, man. I'm not as worried about Travis Kelce. Look, Marquise Brown is out for the season. They're going to be having to target their pass catchers more with Isaiah Pacheco out. That's less targets out of the backfield for the running backs. I still think that Kelce's going to be fine from a target share perspective. He's just not as explosive as he used to be because he's old, but it's still Travis Kelce and a Pat Mahomes-led offense. We're going to be starting Travis Kelce with confidence on a weekly basis. It's going to take me a lot to have to bench Travis Kelce just because of a poor first 2 weeks. Why would you drop P. Ryan? Oh, would you drop P. Ryan for Dowdle or Foreman? I don't know. That's tough. Probably not. Let's see how this Kansas City backfield starts to really shake up before we do anything drastic like that. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Make sure to super chat if you want to support the channel. I'm answering all fantasy football questions. If you haven't seen my top 24 running back rankings, scroll to the top of the chat. You can scroll down and see my rankings, top 24 for the running back position for the fantasy football season. If you haven't liked the video, make sure to do that. And make sure that you catch all my live streams this season. Do you think Dowdle will take over that backfield at any point? No, I do not. I still think that Ezekiel Elliott is going to be used a decent amount in this backfield, and I think it's going to be a split backfield. I want absolutely nothing to do with the Cowboys running backs. Mason and Ridley for Gibbs too much. I wouldn't do that right now. I wouldn't. I don't think that Jordan Mason's tradable, bro. I mean, he's basically the replacement for Christian McCaffrey with less pass catching upside. But again, they're going to have to start using him more in the passing game, considering the fact that none of their pass catchers can stay healthy. We have Deebo Samuel out. Brandon Ayuk missed all the fucking training camp. He looks like trash. George Kittle is out. They're going to be having to use Mason more in the passing game. And a lot of the San Francisco offense, with all these pass catchers hurt, is going to be funneled through Jordan Mason. As long as Christian McCaffrey isn't on the field, I don't think that Jordan Mason's tradable whatsoever. How do you feel about Dak moving forward? Tough first two matchups, so not worried. Just wondering where you're at with them. Well, here's the thing about Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott does not have the rushing upside that he used to have, and so his ceiling is a little bit capped in comparison to the old Dak Prescott. And if you look at this offense, really the only weapon is CeeDee Lamb. Their entire backfield is washed up. Brandon Cooks is 97 years old. He's not as dynamic as he used to be, and he's an undersized wide receiver. Jalen Tolbert looks like he's going to be the wide receiver too in the offense. I think that Dak Prescott has a little bit of a down season from a fantasy perspective. I don't think the Cowboys offense is going to be what everybody thinks it is. I think it's a little bit overhyped right now. Deontay or Higgins? Oh my God, Higgins by a mile. Monty plus Ridley for Kyron. Yes, Andre, I would do that in a freaking heartbeat. You like Monty more than Connor PPR? Absolutely not. I know that James Conner has a tough matchup this week. And, you know, the matchup is definitely better for Monty. But right now, I absolutely and utterly cannot bench James Conner. He's getting elite usage, and he's got the backfield all to himself in an offense that constantly plays in shootout games. I am going to be playing Conner this week over David Montgomery. Do you like ETN? Not really. I mean, I'm not that sold on the Jacksonville offense. And I don't know, man. I think that ETN probably will at best match his underdog ADP, which he was going in the 4th round. So, yeah, I'm not that big on Travis Etienne. Waddle Pickens or Drake London? Thanks for the question, Jay Florence 513. Waddle Pickens or Drake London? We are going to be starting George Pickens. Look for George Pickens to have a bounce-back week. Yeah, we're probably going to be starting George Pickens here. I don't trust Waddle with the quarterback situation. Bro, I think your number one prediction was Godwin being a monster. Andre, I appreciate you. Yeah, Godwin, I have a 27%. And I say this in like every video that I post, so everybody probably knows it, but I'm going to continue to say it because I smashed on this, and I know he's going to continue to smash. I have a 27% ownership of Chris Godwin on Underdog Fantasy. He is my most owned player. And yes, I did predict Alvin Kamara being a top 5 running back, so not to toot my own horn, but I definitely smashed on those 2 picks. I missed plenty of things in fantasy football. I'm not saying I'm smarter than everybody else, but I definitely hit on those 2. Giving out better advice than people that charge money. Yeah, I'm doing my best to just, give the best advice possible and make sure that people – how many years have you been playing fantasy? I have been playing fantasy since 2013, so 11 years. Yep. Appreciate you guys tuning in. If you haven't caught my running back rankings, they are at the top of the chat. So make sure to go to the top of the chat to get my running back rankings for the week. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Keep on blowing up the chat section. I am going to be answering as many fantasy football questions as possible to help you get your best team on the field for week 3. So ask away, and let's make sure we get the W this week. Guys, if you're in here and you haven't yet liked the video, make sure to like the video. Thoughts on Sanders with a new quarterback? Why am I drawing a blank on Sanders? Thoughts on Sanders with a new quarterback? Godwin is a wide receiver 1 right now. Godwin is going to be a top 7 wide receiver in fantasy. And if you look at it last year, I believe that Mike Evans was a top 7 overall wide receiver. And Godwin is going to be his replacement this year. Mike Evans is 97 years old, right? He's got to fall off at some point. Although I think that Mike Evans has yet another good fantasy season because this dude just never seems to age, I think that Godwin is going to take over as the alpha pass catcher in this offense. The dude has seen 8 targets each of the past 2 weeks. He's out-targeting Mike Evans on a weekly basis, and I like Chris Godwin to continue to explode. Oh, yeah. Miles Sanders. Dude, I literally forgot about Miles Sanders. That's how off Miles Sanders I am. I still don't like Miles Sanders. He's so irrelevant to me. I literally forgot that he was even in the league. Jonathan Taylor, Dobbins, and JMO for Connor and CMC. Jonathan Taylor, Dobbins, and JMO for Connor and CMC. Oh, yeah. That's a tough one, man. I'm going to need some time to think about that one. That one's really tough. Pick one off waivers. Coleman, Shakir, Gibbs. Keon Coleman. Or Dobbs. Yeah, Keon Coleman. Pirine or Naylor? I think we're going to be starting probably Samaje Pirine. I mean, I think that he's got some pass catching upside in an offense that needs pass catching out of the backfield. So considering the fact that he's also in a way better offense, I think we're going to be starting Pirine over Jalen Naylor. This guy wants CMC and Connor bad. LOL. Yeah, that's a tough one, man. That's actually the hardest trade question that I have been asked since being on the stream today. So I'm going to need some time to think about it. Run it by me here in a little bit. Bryce Young benched. Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's probably a good thing. I mean, Bryce Young is not him. So maybe Andy Dalton will provide a spark to the offense. Bryce Young bench. Monte Ford. Do you see Jonathan Taylor finishing as a top 5 running back in PPR? No, I do not. I think that Jonathan Taylor is a little bit overhyped this year. I don't really like him from a season-long perspective all that much, although I do think he has a good week this week. Christine Pete says, Charbonnet or Zamir White flex? Definitely Charbonnet. I mean, even though Zamir White has a good matchup this week, any running back in the Seattle backfield, as long as they're the number 1 running back, typically tends to produce very consistent fantasy numbers. We've seen it with Kenneth Walker. We've seen it with Zach Charbonnet in the small sample where he's headed the backfield. So we're going to be starting Zach Charbonnet with confidence over Zamir White at the flex. Favorite buy low running backs? Favorite buy low running backs? Probably Jahmyr Gibbs, bro. I like buying low on Jahmyr Gibbs. I think he's a fantastic buy low right now. Appreciate you guys. My voice just cracked, so I'm obviously a little bit excited here. Make sure to drop a like on the video, scroll to the top of the chat. If you haven't seen my top 24 rankings, my top 24 running back rankings are at the top of the chat. Are you selling pieces on your team in the 8-man league? No, my team in the 8-man league is too good. I really don't want to touch it right now. I mean, if you look at my starting lineup, I'm just absolutely stacked. Not to toot my own horn, but I just don't really want to trade anybody right now unless an offer comes by that I can't refuse. Ridley or Olave this week? Chris Olave, bro, 100%. Christine P, thanks. Yes, no problem. I got you. I'm answering all fantasy football questions. Super chats are very much appreciated if you guys want to help support the channel. Oh, yeah. Scroll to the top if you haven't seen my top 24 running back rankings. That's a big part of this video. I want to make sure that you guys have my running back rankings for the week. I lost CMC, Debo, and Mixon. That's too many pieces on an 8-man team. Yeah. Eber, you've been a little bit unlucky with injuries. It's kind of unfortunate so far that you haven't been able to keep your team healthy, but it's very early in the season. I don't think Mixon's out for too long, is he? How long is Mixon supposed to be out? I don't think it's that long. Why are people selling Bijan? Well, I can tell you why people are selling Bijan. Bijan Robinson is not getting the workload that we want him to. They're still not really cutting him loose. Obviously, if you look at the yards per carry efficiency and the yards per route run and the yards per reception efficiency, this dude is probably the most efficient player at the offensive position in the entire NFL at any position, but they won't freaking cut him loose. They won't give him those 30 touches a game like he deserves to have, and it makes no sense because they would be winning a lot more games and be a much better overall team if they would just free Bijan Robinson. So the reason people are selling him is because he really isn't getting the workload that we want him to have. Can Marvin Harrison Jr. finish as a top 5 wide receiver? Yes, absolutely. Marvin Harrison Jr. can finish as a top 5 wide receiver. I think that Marvin Harrison Jr. is the next Justin Jefferson. I feel like he's getting the volume, just no touchdowns. Yeah, that's the other problem with Bijan is his touchdown upside is capped because the offense that he's playing in is not good. People thought that the Falcons offense would be a lot better this year with Kirk Cousins. The offense is still not good. So the touchdown upside isn't really there for him. I tried to get Waddle and Debo to the Mason owner, but wasn't accepted. I tried to get Waddle and Debo to the Mason owner. I don't know that that's necessarily a bad thing. I think that Debo Samuel holds tremendous value for PPR leagues, especially when he comes back. And I don't think that he's going to be out for that long. So I don't know, man. I don't really think – I think that trade is kind of a 50-50. I'm fine with either side of the trade. And as long as Tua comes back, Waddle will have value again. So honestly, bro, from a PPR perspective, I don't necessarily think you would have won that trade even if you got Mason. Raheem Morris baited all of us. Yeah, I mean he did. It's just like the Arthur Smith thing. They won't do it. They won't cut him loose. Last year having faith in Pitts, but he's mid as hell. Kyle Pitts is one of the most overhyped fantasy assets in the history of fantasy football. I don't like him going forward. I don't think he's going to have a good fantasy career. I traded ETN for Marvin Harrison Jr. before the season, got laughed at after week 1. Now look who's laughing. Look, people have no idea how to judge players in week 1, so if they're laughing at you, they just don't know what they're talking about. Marvin Harrison Jr. has so much more upside than Travis Etienne, especially from a PPR perspective. It's not even funny. Anybody who's laughing at you for that trade is an idiot. Rooting for Flacco like quarterback in Miami. I have too many shares of Waddle. Yeah, luckily I didn't have too many shares of Jalen Waddle going into the season. Hunt or P. Ryan when Hunt is cleared. Kareem Hunt, he's just got a higher ceiling. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Make sure to super chat if you want to support the channel. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you have not already. Gonna shoot Marvin Harrison Jr. an offer, bro. You're getting me hyped on him. Look, Marvin Harrison Jr. is probably going to be a top 5 wide receiver, bro. Look, Marvin Harrison Jr. was close to having 4 touchdowns in this last game, in his second game in the NFL. It took Justin Jefferson longer to get going than that. Marvin Harrison Jr. is hotter out of the gate than Justin Jefferson was. Think about that. If I was to trade CMC, who should I be looking for to get a back full PPR? If you're going to be trading Christian McCaffrey, and again, I don't think the dude sees the field this year, but if you are going to be trading Christian McCaffrey, given the fact that most people think he's going to come back, given the name value, given the draft capital you spent on him, you better be getting somebody really damn good. Godwin, top 5 wide receiver end of season. Oh, that's a bold take. Top 5? I don't know about top 5. I think top 6 or 7 is a lot more realistic. Definitely top 8. I'm going to say Chris Godwin top 8. And considering the fact that we drafted him as like, what, the wide receiver like 21 or something like that, we're getting a massive return on our money for Chris Godwin. You won't get much, yeah. Who do I start at flex? Full PPR, Najee or Brian Thomas? Who do I start at flex? Full PPR, Najee or Brian Thomas? I think we're going to be starting Brian Thomas. Look, for a standard format, I would say to start Najee Harris. But for a full PPR format, I think we're going to be starting Brian Thomas Jr. here. Appreciate your question, Jack Ladd. Keep the chat rolling, everybody. Ask as many fantasy football questions as you want. I'm here to help you guys out. Let's get our best lineup on the field for week 3. If you haven't seen my running back rankings for the week, they're at the top of the chat. Scroll to the top of the chat and check out my top 24 running back rankings. If you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. I need to get this video out to as many people as possible so I can continue doing these live streams on a weekly basis. It's incredibly important that you guys super chat as well. I haven't got a super chat yet on this video. I would appreciate my first one if y'all want to consider helping the channel. Would you trade Ja'Marr Chase for Amon-Ra straight up? Yeah, I probably would. I mean, look, Ja'Marr Chase, the problem with him is he isn't a consistent enough floor player, whereas Amon-Ra St. Brown gives you a tremendously high weekly floor and a tremendously high weekly ceiling. So considering the fact that he has a higher weekly floor and plays in what right now looks like an overall better offense, yes, I would trade Ja'Marr for Amon-Ra St. Brown straight up, but I don't think a lot of people are going to do that. How do you feel about the Seahawks offense, specifically their passing attack for DK and JSN fantasy outlook? I like the Seahawks offense. I think that JSN is going to have a massive breakout in year 2. He's got the prospect profile. He's a year 2 wide receiver. All signs, 16 targets in week 2. All signs are pointing to the fact that JSN is absolutely going to break out in year 2. I think that the Seattle Seahawks offense will be very solid this year. Definitely nothing special, but I think there will be an above average NFL offense, maybe, top 14 or 15, something like that. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Make sure to like the video if you haven't already. If you are watching my content on a consistent basis and you haven't subscribed, make sure to subscribe to the channel. It is tremendously important for YouTube to get my video out there. For some reason, if you don't subscribe, YouTube thinks that you don't like my video. It's kind of the dumbest thing in the world, but make sure to subscribe to the channel. What do you think about Demarcus Robinson we'll do this week with Rams wide receivers injured? Look, I am huge on Demarcus Robinson. I was saying to draft Demarcus Robinson going into the season, and that was before Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua got hurt, because I thought he was going to be pretty heavily involved in this offense. Now with no Cooper Kupp and no Puka Nacua, I think Demarcus Robinson is going to absolutely explode. So DeMarcus Robinson is a very good play for your flex this week. Rate my team. Quarterback, Dak, Carr. Running back, Jameer, Kyron, Najee, Tyjae Spears. Wide receiver, Amon-Ra, Debo. Your team is stacked, bro. You have Amon-Ra, Jameson Williams. You have Debo. Jameer, Kyron at running back. I love your running backs. Jameson Williams, Pickens, Jaden Reed, Brian Thomas, tight end, Mark Andrews, Hunter Henry. I'm going to say that's like an 8.1. Pretty damn solid team. Anything above an 8 is obviously really good. It's a 10-man, though. That's okay. I mean, your team's still absolutely stacked. Look, I love 10-man leagues, man. I play in a lot of 10-man leagues. A good chunk of my league are 10-man. I like playing in those 10-man leagues where the teams and rosters and player pool is just absolutely stacked. It's fun. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Make sure to blow up the comment section so we can keep this rolling. I'm 2-0. Can you rate my team and let me know where I can improve? Absolutely, Business Circuit. Drop it in the chat, and I will give you a team rating. Anybody who wants their team rated, I can do that, but I am going to be brutally honest. And keep in mind when I give you your team rating, a 5 is average. So if your team sucks, I might say it's a 4. If your team is good, I might say it's a 6, right? So 5's average. I'm going to be giving brutally honest team ratings, and you might not like me afterwards if your team isn't that good, but I'm going to be honest with you because I'm here to help you guys win. Dak and DK for Hurts and JSN, full PPR. Dak and TK for Hurts. Oh, my God, yes. Oh, my God. Just because of the Hurts side of the trade, you're winning so much at the quarterback position here that, yes, we are going to be making that trade 10 times out of 10. Who is one underground player that you think would be a great stash? Let me get back to you on that. Rate mine. Yeah, drop it in the comments, Andre. Underground player that I think, honestly, bro, Kareem Hunt. I mean, like, Kareem Hunt probably isn't going to hit starting lineups this week, but considering the fact that we've seen what kind of ceiling this guy possesses in his prime, if he's even a semblance of what he used to be, he could have some upside in this Chiefs offense. I think that Kareem Hunt is a good stash for now. Kyler, Achane, Mason. Business Circuit. Kyler, Achane, Mason, Marvin, DeMarcus Robinson, McBride. As much as I like DeMarcus Robinson with Cooper Kupp out, it's still technically kind of weak at the wide receiver 2 position. Your running backs are absolutely awesome. You have a very good wide receiver 1 in Marvin Harrison Jr., Connor, Monty, Bench, CMC, Puka, Debo, Worthy. 7.8. Yep. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Keep blowing up the comment section. Super chat if you want to support the channel. And let's continue to keep this comment section rolling. And if you haven't caught my top 24 running back rankings, they are at the top of the chat. So make sure to go catch that. That's why I was maybe going to trade CMC and Monty for JMO. I'm going to trade CMC and Monty for JMO. I still wouldn't. I don't know, man. I wouldn't do it. I still wouldn't do it. I'm going to have to see more out of Jameson Williams to give up freaking Christian McCaffrey. It's just too much. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Ask away with all your fantasy football questions, and I will do my best to get back to you. If you haven't caught my top 24 running back rankings, they are at the top of the chat. Scroll to the top of the chat to see my top 24 running back rankings for the week. I'm going to be live streaming every week, guys. I'm going to be doing my running back rankings every single week, my wide receiver rankings every single week. And make sure that you catch that. In order to catch that, you need to make sure you subscribe to the channel. That's why I was maybe going to trade CMC and Monta for Jamie. Yeah, I don't know. It's just too much. Keep blowing up the comment section, everybody. Let's keep this rolling. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Oh, yeah, Andre. Josh Allen, Mason, Monty, Chase Wilson, Olave, Kelsey. Josh Allen, you're elite at quarterback. You're weak at running back 2. Chase Wilson. Wilson's been a little bit of a disappointment so far. So is Olave. Probably a 7. I think you have some overall areas that you need to improve. I mean, obviously, I don't like Monty being your number 2 back. I think you need to improve at your running back 2 position. Obviously, this is very much because of the Kenneth Walker injury, but as long as Kenneth Walker isn't on the field, yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, Yeah, I mean, your running backs are mid because of injuries. It's a little bit unfortunate. It's a little bit unfortunate and a little bit unlucky, but injuries kind of caused your team to what would normally probably be more of an 8 to be like a 7. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Scroll to the top of the chat to see my running back rankings. How could I improve my team? Oh, yeah, that's right. Kyler, Achane, Mason, Demarcus Robinson, McBride, Connor, Monty, Bench CMC, Puka, Debo, Worthy, Jawan Jennings. Well, you have Xavier Worthy twice, so that's pretty cool. 2 shares of Xavier Worthy on the same team is always a plus. Kyler, Achane, Mason, Marvin, Demarcus Robinson. The main thing you need to do is you need to improve your wide receiver 2 slot. I think that your running backs are an absolute smash. So the main thing you need to do is improve your wide receiver 2 slot. As much as I like Demarcus Robinson, he is better served as a flex. So main thing you need to do is upgrade your running back 2 spot. Do we hold Kel's 22 in the house? How you doing, my friend? Do we hold Ramondre? Yes, we hold Ramondre because, I mean, what the hell are you going to sell him for? The dude just put up a freaking goose egg in week 3 of the fantasy football season. I don't like selling players coming off weeks that are that bad. I would rather sell them high. If you were going to sell Ramondre, last week would have been the week to do it. But if you look at Ramondre Stevenson, he's not a bad hold. I mean, weeks 1 and 2, he had 20-plus carries. He was very productive from a fantasy standpoint. And then he played in a game this last week where he just got scripted out of the game. The dude only has 6 carries. That's not going to be the case on a weekly basis. This dude is going to be getting 20-plus carries in a lot of games and 5 or 6 targets out of the backfield, despite the fact that Antonio Gibson is an elite pass-catching back, or maybe not an elite pass-catching back, but a solid pass-catching back. Ramondre Stevenson's still getting tons of targets out of the backfield. I like Ramondre Stevenson. I just think he had a bad game. He's totally fine to hold right now. Should I trade Monty? Possibly. Appreciate you guys rolling in. Ask as many fantasy football questions as you want. Blow up the chat. Let's keep this chat rolling. If you haven't seen my top 24 rankings, make sure to scroll to the top. And if you're new to the channel, if this is your first time on the live stream, you need to know that I am doing my wide receiver rankings and running back rankings on a weekly basis, every single week for the rest of the season. So if you want to be part of one of the most interactive channels on YouTube, where I answer all your fantasy football questions, where I come out and give you wide receiver and running back rankings every single week via live stream so you can interact with me while I do my rankings, make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, make sure this video gets out to as many people as possible. I'm trying to grow my channel so I can continue to do this. Also, consider super chatting me because I'm an hour and 6 minutes in and haven't gotten a super chat yet. So that would very much be appreciated, but I am doing my best to answer all fantasy football questions and make sure you get your best team on the field for week 3. DK and Najee for Jamar, full PPR. DK and Najee for Jamar. Yeah, I would definitely do that. I mean, if you look at DK Metcalf, I don't know. I think he's coming off a big week, but this dude is still a low-end wide receiver 2, high-end wide receiver 3 for fantasy. I think that he's absolutely overhyped, and I don't know, man. I think we're definitely going to be giving up. To me, Najee Harris is absolutely nothing. Jamar Chase is a top 7 or 8 overall asset in fantasy. We are absolutely going to be making this trade. Kel's 22. Do you have the balls to start JMO over Godwin this week? There's no way in hell I'm going to do that. I mean, I know that God, it's tough. I mean, the matchup is certainly appealing, but yeah, there's just no way I can do that. Especially with Godwin coming out and getting 8 targets a game. I mean, like, honestly, though, Jameson Williams has out-targeted Chris Godwin on the early season, so I totally get it. And the matchup is juicy, so God, I don't know. It's actually tough. I say no way in hell, but like it's no way in hell might be an overstatement. It's actually a tougher decision than we probably think. Jameson Williams certainly could have the better week. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Scroll to the top to see my top 24 running back rankings for the week. Make sure to keep blowing up the chat section. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Let's get some more people in here. In order to get more people in my live streams and in order to keep this going, make sure that I'm able to do this all season long, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. This is tremendously important for me growing in the YouTube algorithm so I can continue to produce these videos and helping you guys win your team, win your leagues in 2023. Continue to blow up the comment section. Let's keep this rolling, everybody. Appreciate you guys. Monty plus Ridley. Do they give me a good running back? Yeah, I mean, I would think so. I mean, Monty's been steadily productive so far. Ridley's coming off of a good week, and so I think you could get a good running back for those two. Yeah. Half PPR, 20-yard receiving need, 2 running backs, wide receiver, 1 flex, Achane, Mason, Bijan, Flowers, Waddle, Reed, D-Rob, Deontay Johnson, Coleman. Drop any for Chuba, Adunze, Hubbard. Man, that's a lot. Drop any for Chuba, Brown, Algier, Judy, Hopkins. No, I think you're fine. Hold on to your team just how it is. J-Mo Henry for Monte and CMC. I might have already asked, but this dude gave me like 1,000 trade offers. Yeah, J-Mo and Henry for Monty and CMC. You're going to be getting Monty and CMC. I don't know, man. It's so hard because, I don't think Christian McCaffrey is going to play this year. So I think you're getting a player that doesn't end up on the field. So, I don't know, man. I'm just that's really tough. I'm going to be getting J-Mo and Henry. You're going to be getting J-Mo and Henry. I don't know. It's so hard because the ceiling with Christian McCaffrey is just so high. If he does come back, that I would feel absolutely silly trading him for Jameson Williams and Derrick Henry. So as much as I don't think Christian McCaffrey is going to play, given the inherent ceiling, if he does come back, and given the fact that he still offers league-winning upside, if he does get back on the field, I think that we're going to not do this. Is Kamani Vidal a decent stash? No, I'm not that big on Kamani Vidal from a talent perspective. I don't think he's going to see. I don't trust Dobbins to have a full season, and Gus Edwards has looked horrible. Plus, Chargers love to run the ball. Yeah, the Chargers obviously love to run the ball, but at the same time, I don't like predicting injuries. I know that J.K. Dobbins is technically an injury-prone running back, but he looks pretty damn healthy right now to me. The dude did a freaking front flip into the end zone after his explosive run the other day. This dude is 100%. I don't like to predict injuries in fantasy, even if players are typically injury-prone. How often does it happen where a player goes down 2 or 3 seasons in a row and misses significant time, and then they come out and they play all 17 games? It happens all the freaking time. So I don't like predicting injuries. Right now, I think that Kamani Vidal is a waste of a roster spot. But would he not split time with Mason even when he does come back? Yeah, I think he's going to split time with Mason, but it's still Christian McCaffrey, and he's still going to be getting an insane target share out of the backfield, especially if, say there's a scenario where both Debo and George Kittle are chronically injured all season long, and that, Brandon Ayuk's missed training camp. They're going to use Christian McCaffrey even more as a wide receiver when he comes back, because they are going to have to use their running backs to catch passes even more because they're so freaking banged up as far as their pass catchers. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Make sure to drop a like on the video if you haven't already, and go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Help my channel grow. Let's get this video out to as many people as possible so I can help you guys win your leagues and continue to do these live streams. Oh, yeah, if you guys haven't caught my top 24 running back rankings, they are at the top of the chat. Dobbins or Demarcus Robinson? Dobbins or Demarcus Robinson? We are definitely going to be playing J.K. Dobbins here. Yes, Jalen Wright is a stash. Now, Christ saves, you're onto something. Now you got a good stash in Jalen Wright. Look, Raheem Mostert, there's a chance that he just isn't on the field all that much this year. And if you look at last season, Devon Achane was very slow out of the gate and then ended up being one of the best assets in fantasy. It very much could be the case that Jalen Wright is last year's Devon Achane, running behind Devon Achane and being Devon Achane's or Raheem Mostert's Devon Achane, if you guys know what I mean. So I think that Jalen Wright is a very good stash right now for fantasy purposes. I think he has the potential to absolutely go off this season. Guys, if you haven't liked the video yet, make sure to like the video. Scroll to the top of the chat to see my top 24 running back rankings for the week. And blow up the comment section. Ask as many fantasy football questions as possible so we can keep this chat rolling. I appreciate you guys. How we doing? How we feeling about tomorrow's games? I appreciate you guys tuning in. Thank you, thank you. Ask away with all your fantasy football questions. If you want a team rating, I got you on a team rating. If you're just here to see the running back rankings, scroll to the top of the chat. Check those out. But I'm here to answer as many football questions as I can possibly get around to. So, yeah. Appreciate you guys tuning in. I see we got a few more of you guys rolling in. Good to see you guys. Good to see you guys in the live stream. What do we think about tomorrow's games? What questions do we have? Keep asking away in the comment section. Let's keep this comment section rolling so we can keep the video going. Yes, sirs and ma'ams. Keep asking away. Fantasy football questions. Sebastian, trade Davante Adams and Dobbins for Josh Jacobs and A.J. Brown. Trade Davante Adams and Dobbins for Josh Jacobs. Oh, my gosh. Man, this is an absolutely loaded trade on both sides of the ball. I think we're definitely going to be doing this, though. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you look at Josh Jacobs from a season-long perspective, the dude had 32 carries last game. I still think that Josh Jacobs could be the running back one in fantasy this season, especially right now with no Jordan Love. They're going to be having to rely on him more as a pass catcher out of the backfield. They're going to have to rely on him more to run the ball. There's a reason he carried the ball 32 times last game. This dude's a freaking workhorse, and A.J. Brown is a massive upgrade from either Davante Adams or J.K. Dobbins. So, yes, you would be winning this trade by a mile. Both sides of the trade are loaded, but you are going to be winning this trade by a long shot if you are on the Josh Jacobs side of the trade and the A.J. Brown side of the trade. Josh Jacobs and A.J. Brown to the moon. So go ahead and take those two guys. Appreciate you guys rolling in. Scroll to the top, see my top 24 running back rankings for the season. For week 3 of the fantasy football season. Make sure to keep the comment section rolling so we can keep the video going. I'm so very sorry I missed the answer. I'm so very sorry. I missed the answer. Quentin Johnston, Naylor, Adunze, rest of the season. No, you're good. Quentin Johnston, absolutely not. Naylor, no. We're going to be going with Rome Adunze rest of the season because he wanted MHJ, but I love MHJ too much. Don't trade Marvin Harrison Jr. Marvin Harrison Jr.'s actual value right now is higher than his perceived value. We're not going to be trading players that have better value than their actual perceived value. So we're not going to be doing that right now. Pick up Greg Dortch or Colby Parkinson. I say, probably Colby Parkinson. I mean, if you look at this Rams offense, they are absolutely starving for pass catchers with no Cooper Kupp and no, what's his name, Puka Nacua. So, yeah, I think we're going to be going with Colby Parkinson. Obviously, we're going to want to see the target share go up. The dude only had 2 targets last week. But, yeah, we're going to need to see his target share go up to be all that confident. But I don't think that Greg Dortch is, I don't know. I think we're going to be going with Colby Parkinson here. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Keep asking away in the comments section. Parkinson or Ferguson? Parkinson or Ferguson, bro, by a mile. We are going to be starting Ferguson by a mile. I like Jake Ferguson. I mean, if you look at his role in the offense, who else are the Cowboys going to pass the ball to besides CeeDee Lamb? They don't have another pass catcher. So Jake Ferguson, by default, is going to have a really good season just based on volume alone. And he's in an offense that I think should be a better offense as long as the Rams are all banged up. So better touchdown upside for Ferguson and better PPR upside due to just overall passing volume. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Make sure to like the video. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to the channel. We're about an hour and 17 minutes into the live stream. Let's keep this going. Keep the questions rolling. Keep the likes going. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I want to gain at least 10 subscribers off this video. If I don't gain at least 10 subscribers off this video, I'm going to be supremely disappointed, and I probably won't live stream tomorrow. So make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Parkinson or Ferguson. Yeah, keep rolling. Keep the fantasy football chat questions rolling, and let's keep this live stream going. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Hope y'all are doing all right today. And let's answer all of your Week 3 fantasy football questions. Luke McCaffrey worth the pickup? Absolutely not. He's a waste of a roster spot right now. Yeah, I have 0 shares of Luke McCaffrey on Underdog. I don't think that anything has changed all that much that would make me want Luke McCaffrey this season. So I think he's an absolute waste of a roster spot right now. Yeah, he's no good. All right, guys, if y'all are in here and you haven't liked the video yet, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. Help me gain at least 10 subscribers on this video. I want to gain at least 10 subscribers of every live stream that I post. And yeah, let's keep this chat section rolling. Appreciate you guys. All right, I'm going to make sure that this live stream gets to I'm going to keep live streaming as long as it's a viable option for me. So make sure to super chat, like the video, and subscribe to the channel. The best fantasy analyst that actually answers questions. Thanks. Yeah, man, I do my best to get around to everybody. I want to help you guys win leagues. So let's get it. Appreciate you guys tuning in. If you haven't caught my top 24 running back rankings, they are at the top of the chat. So make sure to scroll to the top of the chat to get my top 24 running back rankings for the season. Or sorry, for week 3 of the fantasy football season. All right, y'all. I'm an hour and 19 minutes in. I haven't gotten any super chats yet, so I'm probably going to be getting on out of here. I do appreciate you guys tuning into the live stream. I was going to keep it going 2 hours plus, but nobody super chatted me. I do my best to get around to everybody, but no super chats equals I'm probably going to cut the live stream a little bit short. But I will be live streaming tomorrow before the game, so I hope to catch you guys in the live stream tomorrow. I'm going to be helping you get your best lineup on the field for week 3 of the fantasy football season. So make sure to catch the live stream tomorrow morning. And I appreciate you guys tuning in, and I will catch you later.